we're breaking down the 1991 animated musical film from Don Bluth, Rock-A-Doodle. And I wanted to cover this because a lot of 90s kids love this movie, and I heard that it was a source of a lot of trauma. Did you think it was that traumatic?
The most traumatic part to me was listening to that kid read all those lines. that was traumatic.
He's literally the main character, and he's doing exposition drops, and I can't understand a word he says.
Without a reason to crow, Chanticleer left the farm, then gave away.
It's like, I literally just learned the alphabet last week, and now you want me to say a sentence?
They've handed me the Odyssey-sized script of lines that I have to go through. Like, it's basically child abuse to make this kid read all these lines, and it's adult abuse to make me listen to it.
If you like Elvis roosters, terrifying live-action jump scares, and chickens with very large breasts, then you'll love Rock-A-Doodle.
Oh, God.
This is a very sexual movie.
I don't even like the main rooster's arms. I think those are upsetting to look at. All of the characters I find upsetting. The chickens with the huge tits. That's the tip of the iceberg. This thing goes way deeper.
Quick summary of this movie. It's about a rock and roll rooster who thinks his voice makes the sun rise, but it doesn't. So he leaves for the city and lives out the career beats of Elvis Presley. But I guess his voice actually did make the sun rise, because in his absence, the farm descends into darkness and torrential downpour, so the farm animals must team up with a live-action child who is turned into an animated kitten by an evil magic owl to retrieve the singing rooster. That's the plot of the movie, I guess. Apparently, the movie was originally a lot darker, but a lot of that stuff was edited out. Which, if you're familiar with Don Bluth movies, they can get pretty spooky. Like, The Secret of Nim is probably his best movie. Well, he's got some hits, but Secret of Nim is pretty cool. That was his first movie, and it's like, the art is like creepy as hell. Rock-A-Doodle, it's loosely based on Edmund Rostand's 1910 comedy play, Chanticleer, a French play.
Is it?
I mean, if you're Edmund Rostand and you wrote a play and then somebody made this movie adaptation, you're probably like, what the f***? Leave my play out of this. And yeah, the film originally included more darker elements, like I said, a famous one being a deleted sequence from the kitchen scene. And in this sequence, you can see the Duke is like in the middle of baking something. It's up. It's a song. He's singing a song to this baby skunk as he's like cooking him into a pie. The owl is crying through the whole song too. He's crying as he's singing this like sad song to this baby skunk as he's about to murder him.
Yeah, it's pretty out of place.
The reason it was cut wasn't because of the content, but it was because Bluth Studio received a complaint from the distributor's marketing representative that most cases of child abuse happen in the kitchen and involve baking instruments.
What the f***?
I mean, you could have just removed it because it was weird and not good.
Yeah, okay, so there are some grandmothers out there who are like hitting their kids with wooden spoons or rolling pins or whatever, but they're not baking them into pies and crying about it. Yeah, you're right. That wasn't a necessary justification to remove. You should have just been like, this scene is whack. Get rid of it.
You know why. You obviously know why. You're the one who drew it. And after completion of this film, Don Bluth stated if he had a choice to do either live action or animation for a movie, he would choose animation because he considers it easier than doing live action, which is probably the only time that's ever been said.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But when we get into the plot summary, there's a couple stories I like inputted of Don Bluth's experience directing the live action parts, and he clearly was not into it, or like he could not handle it.
I was going to say, like, based on just him saying that, like, yeah, you can tell, man. You can tell in the movie that the live action was a struggle for you.
Let's break down the plot of Rock-A-Doodle. The narrator lets us know how the sun works. In the morning, it comes up, but one time it didn't. This is that story. We zoom down to a farm where an Elvis-inspired rock and roll rooster, Chanticleer, is singing. His voice makes the sun come up.
When you sent me a photo of the movie, I went like, obviously, like, oh, that chicken looks like Elvis.
Yeah.
I didn't expect for it to just be such, like, not even an homage. Like, it's not an homage to, it's just a straight rip-off of Elvis. They call him the King. He's got Elvis's hair. He's got Elvis's terrible manager.
Yeah.
Like,
it's crazy. It's a straight biopic of Elvis.
But it's also Chanticleer. Don't forget
It's
about
Chanticleer. I don't like the name Chanticleer. I think that's stupid.
that. No. Yeah, it's an awful name.
His name should be Rock-A-Doodle.
Yeah.
I expected it to be Rock-A-Doodle. And I also thought of a better name, I think, even. Elvis Poultry.
Might as well. You know what? You might as well.
And one morning, a stranger sneaks onto the farm and fights Chanticleer, distracting him from crowing. But the sun rises anyway, so Chanticleer is heartbroken as he realizes he actually had no influence over the sun this whole time. And everyone makes fun of him, and he leaves the farm to go look for work in the city. Then, an unending rain commences, and the Grand Duke of Owls shows up. Next, the cartoon stops as a young live-action child named Edmund, his hand enters the frame, and he questions the story.
I was also questioning the story. This was perfect timing. We're only 5 minutes and 50 seconds into the movie, and so much has happened.
And already the main character is like, wait, what?
When the kid's asking his mom all those questions about the story, I just pictured him going, Mom, why do the lady chickens look like that?
Yeah, I mean, this kid's young enough. He's probably still breastfeeding. He's like, what does their milk taste like?
He's not breastfeeding.
I don't know. I don't have kids. He's like 4, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, he definitely felt something when he saw those chickens. I think like that raises some eyebrows.
Does their milk taste like eggs? And then Edmund's mom does a completely unnecessary exposition drop of everything we have already been told / shown by the narrator. Then a terrifying cloaked man swings the bedroom door open and stands in the doorframe like an absolute ghoul dementor. But it turns out it's just the father coming in to tell them about the storm. Who opens a door like that? You just kick it open into your child's bedroom?
Kicked it open with so much force that he startled his wife. And he's just standing there like that.
That's crazy. Obviously, you're going to scare them. Your wife is literally in the midst of putting your son to bed, and you kick open the door dressed like a ghoul. You're going to traumatize him.
Yeah, like, look at him. He's disassociating right now. He doesn't even know what's going on. His eyes have glazed over because he's just trying to not think about this moment.
Dada? Then the whole family goes out into the storm except for Edmund, and Edmund is pissed because he thinks he's a big boy and can help. And outside, the storm is insane. The family is trying to save a cow drowning in a mud puddle, and it's absolute chaos.
Is that a real cow?
Unfortunately, it is a real cow stuck in the mud.
That cow needed nothing to do with this movie. This did not need a live ant. I understand they live on the farm, but
that could have easily been not even animatronic, but a puppet's head.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
Like, not even good looking because we're just seeing it from the back. Neck deep in the mud is crazy. Don Bluth, he didn't like this cow in the mud either. He had grown up on a farm and was especially uncomfortable directing the scene. The animal was heavily sedated to make her behave during the shoot. He went up to inspect the cow himself, who was named Abigail the cow. Bluth's experience with cows allowed him to notice something the rest of the crew had not. The cow was pregnant.
Holy This is an insane side story to this movie.
Bluth turned to the head grip and asked, "What's your name?" "Clifford," the grip answered. And Bluth said, "The wee one inside Abigail, we will be naming Clifford.
What the
Make sure he stays alive." And both Abigail and Clifford the cat survived. So next, Edmund opens the window of his bedroom and shouts, "Chanticleer," in an attempt to help. Then lightning strikes a nearby tree and it sparkles magically as it falls into his bedroom. It turns into a terrifying claw and breaks through the wall, and the screen fades to black. And Don Bluth was also especially anxious during this scene because it was so expensive it could only be done once. And in addition, Bluth was nervous about the danger posed to the little kid who was lying on a wheeled platform to be pulled away just before the claw hit him.
It's a pretty crazy stunt.
As Bluth began shooting, one of the wheels of the platform jammed. Just as Abigail the cow was giving birth. Clifford, you have to deliver the child. And Bluth covered his eyes. Fortunately, the young actor was still pulled away in time.
The mom of the kid is there, and the director's like, I'm 100% sure we've done this 100 times. This is going to be perfectly safe for your little boy. And he's just trembling. And as soon as they start rolling, he covers his eyes.
And next, the Grand Duke of Owls is in Edmund's bedroom, and the Duke says that he's going to eat him. The Duke grows really big and starts blowing some kind of magic dust at Edmund. For this character, they had to draw colored effects into the Grand Duke's breath to make him less scary for young audiences. So I guess his magic breath at first was pretty spooky, which I would way rather have seen, because what it looks like is so stupid. There's hearts and little planets, little icons.
Yeah.
It's very stupid. This is an evil owl. Why is he blowing hearts at a little boy? What the hell's going on?
Yeah, he's breathing like Lucky Charms.
Yeah. I guess this curse is magically delicious. I don't know. The motion Edmund makes. Oh, yeah, the motion he makes is so embarrassing.
You just know they gave him no direction. They're like, you're turning into a cat. He was like, okay.
The room turns animated, and Edmund has been turned into a kitten. The Duke goes to eat him, but a dog, Patu, who is also the narrator, attacks the Duke. But with this dog character, Patu, there's a whole subplot about him learning to tie his shoes.
I was waiting for it to pay off.
It doesn't, right?
No.
Okay. I was like, maybe I missed it.
With how many times they drew attention to it, I was sure at about 3/4 of the way through, I was like, somehow this is going to pay off in a big way.
Yeah.
Clothesline an owl or something with his shoelaces. I don't know. But none of that. It's just they cut to a shot at the end of the movie where he figures it out.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't care at all. Why are you wearing shoes?
Well, he does explain why he's wearing shoes.
Oh, I must have missed that. All right.
He has to wear them because he has a ton of bunions on his feet. He literally says this.
What you wearing shoes for?
Bunions. I got a load of bunions.
Ew. They absolutely should have weaved it into the climax of the movie somehow. He uses his bunion to push a button or whatever. That needs to be...
We can't reach that button.
Don't worry, I got my bunion. And my shoes are untied, so I can just slip them right off. And Edmund goes to teach him how to tie his shoes, but upon looking at his kitty hands, he exclaims, "Jeepers, I'm a furry!"
Jeepers! I'm a furry!
Which many people throughout the 90s would go on to also exclaim.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Were furries a thing back in 91 or whatever?
It was probably the beginning of the furries. This movie with the big titty chickens probably contributed quite a bit. I mean, those are not furry, but they're featheries. And Patu tells him to calm down and keep his pants on. Then Edmund realizes he has no pants. He's naked. So he puts on an oversized shirt and a raccoon skin hat. Then all the farm animals pile in through the window and explain how they need to get to the city to find Chanticleer. And after some convincing, he agrees to bring the animals there. Then the room starts flooding even though they're on the second floor. Then most of the animals stay behind in the room for some reason as Edmund boats away with a couple of animals in a chest. Meanwhile, in the lair of the owls, the Duke is playing a giant organ, and the Duke plays a song explaining what happened in the previous scene and restating his evil plot, which is the third time it's been explained to us.
This was a low point for me.
And then a really scrawny owl crashes through the ceiling and interrupts the song and explains that Edmund and some of the farm animals are embarking on a journey. And back with our heroes, they're sailing through the town and a pack of evil owls attempts to kill them. Luckily, they brought a camera for some reason and the flash defeats the owls. But our heroes get sucked into an aqueduct pipe and their treasure chest boat begins to take on water because of the one anxiety bird is having a panic attack and pecking at the walls.
This is kind of how I felt by now watching
Sinking?
this. I was having a panic attack and bouncing off the walls going it's only been 20 minutes.
But luckily they're spat out of the pipe, but there's a waterfall.
There's always a waterfall.
They go over the waterfall and it destroys their boat. They find a barrel and float on it towards the city. So nothing matters. They're fine. Back in the lair of the owls, the scrawny owl reports to the Duke that he killed Edmund and the farm animals. And this is the pie scene. And if you look closely here, you'll see the skunk pop up out of the crust right before he comes in.
Oh, there he is. in the
Oh,
wide
yeah,
shot.
there it is, yeah. The scrawny owl says they're dead because they got sucked into an adequate pipe, but the Duke knows that it must have been an aqueduct pipe, and they're probably still alive, because,
All right.
yeah. Yeah, all right. So the Duke freaks out. He breathes some magic at the scrawny owl, which turns him into some sort of severely diseased male genitalia. This is the cursed frame of the movie.
Oh my lord. Very phallic.
It's got warts on it. Patu is talking about his bunions and covering those up. Probably cover up these genital warts on this owl's head right now.
He got to cover that whole guy up.
I mean, the fact that the distributors were mad about the skunk scene and not this?
It's like, it's vascular. Like, they drew it in great detail. Like, sure, you put an eyeball on it, but that's a cock and balls.
And his chin looks like the balls, or his like jowls.
That's crazy. And he's
That's
just
crazy.
he's just gripping it.
That's not okay.
The longer you look, the worse it is.
It's so clearly a dick. I mean, maybe this is like in conversation with The Little Mermaid, right? Came out a couple of years before, and on the cover of The Little Mermaid, right, they're supposed to be dicks. I don't know if you know about that.
No, I don't know about that.
It's like the poster or the VHS cover.
Okay. It does. Yeah, it looks
Yeah.
like a penis head.
It does look like a penis, but to be honest, this owl's head right now looks more like a penis, like way more. So Don Bluth was just one-upping Disney in the penis department. So
So you think that's a penis? I'll show you a penis.
this one's going to be diseased. This is going to have a wart growing off of it. You ain't never seen a penis like this.
It's one of Don Bluth's famous quotes.
In the city, the gang has one of those neon sign montages as they search for Chanticleer. Little do they know that he's taken up the stage name, the King. The evil scrawny owl lands near the gang and sneaks up with a knife. But before anything happens with that, the gang turns around and spots the big neon Chanticleer sign and realize that he's changed his name to the King and he's performing in a casino. We see Chanticleer's performance. He's just crushing. He is simply Elvis, and everyone is going wild and adoring him. It's a more big, busty, chickened ladies here.
Yeah, that's important that we drew that.
Necessary.
Make sure they're in like a nice low-cut dress.
Yeah. Okay. But up in the office overlooking the stage, a pheasant named Goldie is complaining to Pinky, the southern fox who is Chanticleer's manager. Goldie is jealous of Chanticleer's success and believes she deserves her own show, although this plotline never comes up again.
That's the movie in a nutshell.
Outside the theater, the little owl with the knife makes his move. He jumps out, but then he gets slammed by the theater door and then trampled by the red carpet as Chanticleer is ushered to his weird private helicopter. Oh, it's a stretch helicopter, I'm just realizing. That's pretty cool.
It's also a penis.
You're right. I'm just seeing now that it's also clearly a penis. Don Bluth, what's up, man? Pinky the Fox says he can get Chanticleer anything he wants, but Chanticleer is depressed. He misses life on the farm. And back at Edmund's house, the animals are floating around Edmund's room, and they answer the phone and talk to Edmund. They explain that they're almost out of flashlight batteries, so they need to hurry up. Then the owls sing a short song where the lyrics are literally twiddle-tee-dee, they're running out of batteries.
I liked this song.
Twiddly-dee, twiddly-dee, they're running out, they're running out, they're running out of batteries.
This is maybe the most lazy song I've ever heard. Back in the city, Chanticleer is in his limo and Pinky answers a phone call from the Duke, and the Duke warns him that Edmund and the gang are going to try to convince Chanticleer to return to the farm. Next, at a Chanticleer concert that is penguin suits only. So yeah, the gang has gotten in somehow, and they're all wearing penguin suits, and they write Chanticleer a very short and personal letter trying to convince him to come home. And backstage, Pinky convinces Goldie to, quote unquote, befriend Chanticleer to make him less lonely.
Yeah, befriend.
And the whole scene, she's lying in a clamshell bed, and it's like she's being super sexual for some reason. Chanticleer performs, and he is in full the full like fat Elvis attire, sort of like the iconic Las Vegas Elvis suit. So the gang sneaks into the show in disguises and try to reach Chanticleer and end up handing him the letter. But Goldie spins on stage and seduces him while retrieving the letter. Later, in Chanticleer's penthouse apartment, he has recreated a farm on top of his skyscraper. And he is not lonely anymore because he has Goldie. Yeah, she's just like force feeding him milk.
This is how they sedated the cow to get it into that mud.
Next, a series of newspaper headlines explains that the rain in the farmlands is out of control. And also, Chanticleer's fame is growing. Now he's going to be transitioning into a movie star. Edmund sneaks onto the movie set and into Goldie's trailer, and he asks for her help. And Goldie realizes that Edmund is the evil kitty that Pinky warned her about, and she begins screaming her head off and throwing stuff at him. Then the whole gang gets captured by Pinky, but Goldie sees and realizes that actually Pinky is the evil one. So the gang is tied to a ceiling fan in a trailer, and the scrawny owl spots them and breaks into the trailer, but he is subjected to a really chaotic slapstick sequence where he is eventually crushed by a cactus. Then we cut to Chanticleer filming his movie, and they take 5. Goldie gives Chanticleer the letter from his friends and explains how she stole it from him, and now his friends are tied up. But Pinky interrupts and blackmails Chanticleer. If he doesn't shut up and do the film, he'll kill his friends. Back with the gang, the owl is still stuck in an unending cycle of slapstick mishaps. And back on the film set, Chanticleer drives the prop motorcycle right off the set with Goldie on the back. And they crash right into the trailer with his friends, and Chanticleer is knocked out. The gang drags Chanticleer off and escapes into Pinky's Cadillac and drive away. They are chased through the production lot and have to unhinge the trailer. They do, but the nerdy mouse is lost in the process. And then Edmund has the psychedelic experience where he's faced with many ghosts of characters past.
I forgot about this.
And he's in his brain. Like you can see the walls. It's like the brain design.
This kid is troubled.
Oh, yeah.
He thinks he's a cartoon cat, but even within that realm, he's experiencing
a secondary existential crisis.
Yeah, that's got to be tough. What does that look like in real life? His mom's standing there and he's just stimming out in the bed.
Then Edmund breaks out of the Phantom Zone by overcoming his small, scaredy cat identity and charging into action. So he grabs the wheel and U-turns, going back for the nerdy mouse. They all climb up the crumbling water tower, but they end up falling off. But luckily, they're caught mid-air by Chanticleer's weird helicopter, the penis copter. The nerdy mouse is somehow piloting it. So in the last 30 seconds, she somehow left the water tower, got this helicopter, and is now here. All right. Back at the farm, the animal's flashlight battery runs out, so the owls grab the animals and set the dinner table. And they sing, fa la 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 la, let's eat, which is another beautiful song.
Really succinct.
The helicopter they fly back to the farm in 1 second. The spotlight, it shines down on the dinner table, defeating the owls instantly. They just can't handle the light. But the scrawny owl is still on board, having his slapstick hijinks ensue. So he crashes the helicopter, but the gang escapes and they pull Chanticleer to the land, and he finally comes out of his concussive state. And the animals tell him he just needs to crow so the movie can end, but he can't because he says now he only knows how to sing the blues. Then the owls roll up and start messing with the gang, and they knock out Edmund. Then Patu the dog starts a slow chant. Soon all the animals are chanting Chanticleer, which pisses the owl off.
It pissed me off.
So the owl is so pissed off from this constant chanting that he turns into a kaiju. And then he's only a kaiju for about 1 second, and then he turns into a tornado, and then he destroys everything. But Chanticleer remembers a bunch of dialogue that has happened throughout the movie, which inspires him to crow. He cock-a-doodle-doos so powerfully that it strikes the Duke and shrinks him into a very tiny owl, which allows the scrawny owl to get some revenge on him.
There's the mouse. He's back. He's back.
Shout out to Farmer Mouse, Long John's Farmer Mouse. Hell yeah. Then sunlight shines across the land and the rain finally stops.
Beautiful.
Then the narrator lets us know that everything is good now and the movie is pretty much over except for Edmund. he's still a cat and is supposed to be a human boy.
And he's dead.
Yeah, everyone does think he's dead. Without anything happening at all, he simply just turns back into a human for some reason. Then, live-action Edmund wakes up in his bed to his mother's voice. He is very excited to no longer be an animated cat and is stoked to see the sun is out. His mom explains that Chanticleer is not actually real and he's delusional. Then Edmund picks up the storybook of Chanticleer and caresses the cover, which triggers the closing sequence of the movie. Edmund's live-action body is transported to the animated farm with some pretty rough green screening.
This is such a cherry on top to this thing.
Yeah, this is pretty rough, and the movie is over.
He tied his shoes.
Oh yeah, nice.
Thanks for watching. Please support the channel by liking this video, commenting, and if you know anyone who would like this kind of video, send it to them. Why not, right?